we've gone through the pregnancy journey and we have our bundle of joy, it's time to whip up that body into shape the healthy way. You know that generally during the pregnancy, you gain some weight due to the baby, the placenta, the general fluid retention and all that. But after delivery, you need to shed off some of the weight, and there are ways of doing this in a healthy way. Join me today as I talk to our guest speaker, our dietitian by profession, Sophia Ametefe. Okay, Sophia, so we'll continue with the breastfeeding. Okay. Are there some foods that affect the amount of breast milk that the mother produces, such that breastfeeding women should stay away from these kind of foods? And are there particular foods that promote breast milk production?
There are foods that have been identified to boost breast milk production. Okay. So like soups, that's why you often find a lot of people going in for the palm nut soup.
It's true.
And all these purees, and also people are doing mashed kenke. But at the end of the day, it's not something, well, research is still being carried out and all. But if a mother is able to eat well, she will really be able to lactate well.
Irrespective of the ice cream.
Irrespective of what she eats. Okay. Because you would have mothers who are eating healthily. So for instance, in the morning would have their porridge or their cereals, have their milk that is providing them protein. The carbohydrates is a source of energy. Apart from the milk giving you protein, it's also giving you some amount of fat. So that is a complete balanced diet. Okay. You have your fruits, which you may decide to take as a snack. And what do fruits do? They give us the vitamins and minerals that help the body in various manners. The same mother can decide that for lunch you want to have, let's say, banku with okra stew with your salmon fish. You have everything intact. So your banku is providing you with the carbohydrates, the salmon is giving you proteins, and then your vegetables is coming from the okra. You would have some palm oil you would have used to prepare your stew anyway. So there's some amount of fat. So it's a balanced diet. The other thing we should bear in mind is that stress tends to affect breast milk production. So sometimes it's not that you are not lactating well, but because you are stressed, maybe you don't have support. So you are the same person, you wake up, breastfeed baby, puts baby down, they are clothes to be washed, you go and do that. You have maybe an older child you need to care for, go and prepare breakfast, and you keep running around. Exactly. So you become stressed out. So whereas would have expected probably you would produce a certain, let's say maybe 200 mils at a stretch, all you would have is 50 mils, and you'll be complaining that you are not getting enough breast milk, and yet you are eating well. But it's actually a result of the stress.
The stress that you are facing.
Exactly.
Speaking about the formula feeding, you know, most formulas would recommend 30 mils of water to one scoop. Generally, I think that's what most formulas will produce. Exactly. So if they are doing this, why would they still lose weight? Or, you know, our mothers will advise that we give the babies water. Sometimes after, I don't know whether it's a month or a few days after delivery. What are the downsides of the formula or the water?
So what happens is that even though the instructions have been stated, the volume of water to the amount of feed, artificial feeds are generally expensive. So some mothers would rightly follow the proportions given, but some mothers would not. So if, for instance, it's been stated that she's supposed to give 30 mils to one scoop, she'll do 60 mils to one scoop. So she ends up giving baby more, assuming baby has drunk and is well fed. But what is happening is that you've given very little energy. So such a child, over a period of time, you notice that the baby's weight is dropping. Even though to you, baby has fed well and is looking all happy and cheerful and sleeping well, you actually give much less than the baby required. Now, those who give water, remember that babies' tummies are very small. So usually we advise that you feed them at 2 or 3 hourly interval. If your child is breastfeeding well, can go up to 3 hours. Some children may not breastfeed too well. They would want to be sleeping. So we would encourage to wake them up. Don't say, my child likes sleeping. So you leave your child to sleep 5-6 hours unconcerned and you are happy. You would see your baby's weight dropping down. But with the water, what happens is that ideally, babies should not be given water. But if you decide to exclusively breastfeed, you are given the water when you prepare the formula. Outside that, if you decide to replace part of the feed with water, you filled up a portion of the baby's tummy already small. And then now you give the formula the child should take. The child will take just a little and would be okay because tummy is filled, there is no space. If you keep forcing, baby is going to eventually throw up the feed. So such a baby would also be looking well at the beginning, but within a couple of weeks, you notice that the baby's weight begins to drop down.
So in actual fact, the tummy is full, but with less energy and too much water.
Exactly. And then some people also don't just use any water to feed the baby. Ideally, if you are embarking on using formula feeds, either you get a good trusted bottled water, or you decide to boil the water and allow it to cool before you prepare your feed. But some people will just open the tap, look at our tap or our drainage system. There's a lot of germs, a lot of bacteria and all, and you go and use that to prepare feed for your baby. Within a couple of days, your baby falls sick, and you keep asking yourself, maybe you've been doing the proportions right, but your source of water. Were there any other recommended fruits for breastfeeding mothers to help them produce a lot of breast milk? So generally any fruit the mother is able to tolerate, because we have some mothers who are allergic to pineapples, to pawpaw, among others. So any fruit you're able to tolerate well, go for it in the fruit form. Because once you go for it in the fruit form, you get the whole benefit with the fiber inclusive. Those who opt for juices, you lose out on fiber, and because of the volume you are going to take, you end up taking in more energy than you actually need to.